My name is Jonathan Zecher. I'm an associate professor in the Institute for Religion and Critical Inquiry at the Australian Catholic University. Byzantine Studies. I think when I came into this, I was just starting to look at manuscripts at all. I tended to see ideas as disembodied forms. They floated in the ether and they were eternal, and I could grasp them. But over the course of this project, I have kind of learned a new way of perceiving. I see through the manuscript, I listen to questions from scientists, and I spend longer trying to read. And so I found that what I've really learned is to slow down and see things differently, to perceive differently. And it's been tremendously helpful in that regard. Even though I can't read as much or as quickly, I find that what I'm getting is much more deeply absorbed, and it feels closer to the lived context in which those ideas were birthed, when people write them down and give them material expression, and closer to the context of the people reading these ideas, so that I can kind of think my way into other people's minds by slowing down, by touching, by seeing, and then especially by listening to the questions that scientists ask. We knew we were going to be doing it, but I wasn't quite prepared for the different questions that scientists ask, which I would never have thought to ask, but which I'm so excited by. And so this is another way of hearing and having to slow down because I'm constantly being surprised. So these are some of the things that I feel like I've learned over the course of it. Yeah, I was always interested in practices of tradition, in how people who wanted to adhere to a sacred tradition did so. Was it just repetition? Was it kind of a blind faithfulness? Was it just intransigence? And I always thought it probably wasn't. I thought there was creativity involved, that to be faithful to a tradition meant doing something new without saying you were doing something new. And by working with manuscripts, and especially by working with the paratexts, and in our case, the paratexts are scholia, or marginal annotations, commentaries written on a text perceived as authoritative, and the commentaries show us tradition in action. So I've wanted to see how tradition works, and by looking to the notes made in margins, by people who look at this authoritative text and say, oh, I think it means this, or I think I can understand it this way, I can see that tradition in action. I can see where the creativity is happening. And it's been wonderfully illuminating because it's freed me as a scholar from worrying about authors and famous names and the supposedly important texts. I can look at the everyday, the marginal, the fragmentary, and I can see in that the real work of tradition in action, and I can see a kind of everyday intellectual culture. And so it's not just that working with manuscripts gives me a different sense of how ideas are moving and circulating in the world, but it shifts my attention from the supposedly main text to the supposedly less important, and in doing so I can actually see more of what people were doing in their everyday lives as they tried to understand sacred or authoritative texts. And that's been just tremendously exciting, and it's extended beyond the project to other interests I have. So as I look at other Byzantine literature, I've started looking away from the kind of big and famous names and toward the anonymous, toward these kind of marginal literatures that are sidelined by scholars most of the time, because that's where the exciting stuff is actually happening. I think this is the hardest one to answer, because in some ways my contributions to scholarship remain much as they were. In some ways, I think I'm happier now with what look like humbler contributions to scholarship. I find so much delight in, a single manuscript or a few pages even, that I can delve into that, and if I can express some of that to other people, then I know that I'm not, writing the next big game-changing volume or something like that, but I'm able to bring some of the joy of the lived world of ideas, the real material expression of human creativity to others. And that's what I'm trying to do more of now. So I find myself turning to editing and to translating and to helping generate awareness of ignored or forgotten texts, especially those marginal ones, the ones that are presumed to be unimportant. If I can raise awareness of those kinds of texts and make them seem worth studying, and if other people can find the same kind of joy and delight in them that I do, then I think that will be my contribution.